Hello and welcome. I've been up all night watching the Final Destination Pentology series of 5 movies. This is the beginning of the line. And spoilers.
Alright, all night long, and there's something very wrong, and I know it must be late. Been gone since yesterday. I'm not like you guys. I'm not like you.
Okay, so I had initially thought to keep my show about TV serials, seeing as how binge watching things is something that not only I do, but it turns out it takes a really long time to watch 22 episodes of a show you don't like very much. So I thought I'd widen my scope to serials of any kind. And maybe video games, and possibly books. And I kinda want to talk about how disappointing Lily Allen's new album was. Expect a surprise, is what I'm saying. Anyway, I won't panic you by talking about 5 movies all at once. This will be like a mini-series, so let's get started. Final Destination is a 2000 movie directed by James Wong. It's about death and the reactions of people when confronted by their own mortality. Our protagonist is 17-year-old Alex. He's going on a school trip to France, on a plane. Also going on the trip of a lifetime, shy girl Clear Rivers, who has a distracting name seemingly only so they can make a punny reference to her in the 4th movie. Carter, who is a dick, his girlfriend Terry, who is a chick. Billy, who Carter seems to have a violent fixation on.
Carter, you bitch!
Teacher Valerie Luton, and best friend Todd.
Let's go take a shit. We're about to board a 7-hour flight. The toilets and coach are barely ventilated closets, alright, if that. Now let's say halfway through the flight, right? Your body wants that airplane food out. You gotta go twerk a wicked cable, and then right after you, like directly after you walks in, Krista or Blake. Do you want them to associate you with that watery sting in their eye, that reflexive gag at the back of their throat?
Congratulations, you've just won my Best Advice Ever award. While taking the most important shit of his life, Alex hears a song played by a man who died in a plane crash. There's a lot of symbolism in these movies. Up until this point, we've already had a cultist handing out leaflets talking about death, a magazine article about Princess Diana's death, the opening montage including images of hell and the book Death of the Salesman, the blurb on the back of the box, and his mother breaking the good luck ticket thing.
Whoa, mama, you gotta leave that on. Yeah, it's like, tell you, made the last flight without the plane crashing or anything, so I figured it's gotta be on the bag, or at least with the bag. For luck.
Where would you get a nutball idea like that?
It puts a lot of significance on this. If that's really what set the events in motion, this woman is responsible for the agonising deaths of everyone in the first 2 films, and she doesn't even care. What a lark. The symbolism doesn't end there. In fact, it's hilariously overdone. The ticket lady tells him that his birthday is the same time as takeoff, which is a bit of a stretch. And the teacher's name, Miss Luton. Luton Airport is nothing special, but it has had a few incidents over the years, including one in which a helicopter rolled over during takeoff, causing one of the rotor blades to slice through the cabin and kill the pilot. Perhaps this is a reach on my part, but it sounds like this is a sort of ghastly death that the writer would have loved to come up with. Speaking of ghastly deaths,
That's a good sign. Younger the better to be a fucked up guy to take down this plane.
Todd refuses to switch seats with one of the girls so they can sit together, claiming he has a bladder condition. Rather failing to connect this to the advice he gave earlier. Many people are kind of turned off by bladder conditions, especially teenage girls. And if he does have a bladder condition, why doesn't he want to be at the back near the toilets anyway? Alex has his premonition about the plane exploding shortly after takeoff. Wait, where did this woman come from? The set of Grease? Anyway, watching this again, I was really surprised by how quickly it passes. It lingers on these people getting ripped out of the plane, but other than that, it's pretty sudden and positively minimalist compared to the intricate set pieces that every opening death after this is. So, freaked out after he comes out of his premonition, he realises that everything is happening as it did, and demands to get off the plane. Due to reasons, mostly Carter being a dick, the other Carters are dragged off the plane too. Except Billy, who is locked in the toilet and doesn't manage to get on in the first place, and Clear, who decides to get off because she believed Alex, and seems to have some sort of empathetic connection with him, or something. Miss Luton tells the other teacher, Larry, to get back on the plane as they need someone to supervise the class. And he knows the whole French thing. The plane explodes as Carter takes out his impotent rage on Alex some more. So does every window in the city shatter, or just the dramatically convenient ones? And then we flash forward 39 days to the memorial service for the dead classmates. This bit is great, and something that really sets it apart from the later films, this period of mourning. It allows the characters to develop, and we get a ton of good Carter moments throughout this, ending with Todd's speech.
We say that the hour of death cannot be forecast. But when we say this, we imagine that the hour is placed in an obscure and distant future. Never occurs to us that it has any connection with the day already begun, or that death could arrive this same afternoon.
So that night, Todd dies. I'm guessing his dad is dreaming about the last time he saw both his sons. God damn it, I lost $100 on that plane. Symbolism again there, shaving, becoming a man, a life cut short. Death frames Todd's death here as a suicide, even going so far as to clean up after himself. Alex in his room throws pornography at an owl, and is given a sign that Todd might be in danger, but he turns up too late. Also at the scene is Clear, who had a feeling. The next day, Alex visits Clear, and she decides that if Alex wants to see Todd again, they should just break into the morgue. Huh. Well, if they lived past the second movie, that would be a story for the grandkids. Oh, our first date was at the morgue where we were looking for the corpse of your grandfather's best friend. Good times. I don't really buy this bit. Alex here doesn't seem fazed at all by seeing the corpse of his best friend. Like, he says that whatever made Todd who he is gone, and while I completely agree, I think I'd have more of a visceral reaction to seeing my best friend's body than just, eh. But this scene is to introduce this guy, who appears to be the personification of death. Of course, he's a mortician, just in case we didn't understand what the film was about. He creeps around for a bit, but then disappears until the next episode. So Alex tries to explain to Clear about seeing the signs that death is coming, that the universe sent him that ripped up porn mag with Todd's name in it. He also sees a bus in a window that wasn't on the street and just shrugs it off. By coincidence, Carter and Terry turn up, and also Billy and Miss Luton. And then we have the best death in the entire franchise.
We're moving on, Carter. And if you want to waste your life beating the shit out of Alex every time you see him, then you can just drop fucking dead.
In a way, this sums up the whole movie. It's when you tell your friend to stop smoking because she'll die of cancer, and then she replies, well yeah, but I could get hit by a bus just as easy. But taken literally for comic effect. It's choosing to live rather than choosing to avoid death. I feel there should be a healthy balance. For example, I'd have looked before crossing the road, but the general fantasy, especially as a teenager, is living like you'll never die. After Terry dies, Alex figures out the order that people are dying in is the order they should have died in the explosion, and that Miss Luton is next. Here we have one of the first Ruby Goldberg machine deaths. Luton fills a mug with boiling water, then flings the water out because the mug is from her school. She then fills it with ice vodka, causing the mug to crack, and spill the vodka in a perfect stream into the computer, where it gets into the electronics and explodes the monitor, slashing her throat. She stumbles into the kitchen and sparks from the computer ignite the vodka, causing a fire and an explosion that knocks her on her back. Grabbing a towel, she pulls down a knife rack, stabbing herself in the chest. I don't know why she's looking so scared right now. I would be thoroughly humiliated. Alex comes in, getting his footprints in the blood, and tries to help, but the cooker explodes, sending a chair into the knife handle, finishing off Luton. Alex grabs a knife and gets his fingerprints on it. The house explodes. So now the FBI are all after Alex. Clear gets the other two guys to meet her at the memorial to go look for Alex. She finds him almost immediately, presumably because of their emotional connection, and gives us a story about how her dad was shot in the face and her life went to shit. This is another really good bit that again comes back to living rather than being hung up on a life you could have had. The four teens get back in the car and Carter starts being a dick. Oh, I've been in this situation before. Drivers speeding through the streets, running red lights, and all you can do is hold the Jesus handle and panic. It's not nice. Have some consideration for your passengers, Grandma. Turns out Carter is supposed to be next, but Alex intervenes, and then Billy dies. It's always bugged me that this head looks nothing like the actor. Anyway, Clear decides to hide Alex in an old cabin and he attempts to death-proof the place, thinking that he is next.
Rusted. Tetanus. Nice one.
No, Alex, not tetanus. Do you have no imagination? The fishhook snatches out your eye, and as you're shambling about, half-blinded, crap spilling out of the closet, you knock over the lantern, which puts the cabin on fire. You turn around, knocking the bowl of water on the floor and slip backwards onto the fire. You catch fire, and as you run screaming for the exit, you trip on a beach ball from the closet and get hit by a bus. He gets the idea that he got it wrong, and then actually Clear is next. But that doesn't make any sense. She was in the seat behind him in his premonition, meaning that she would die after him. Unless Death was going by the tickets, in which case maybe he blew up the plane because Alex had the audacity to switch seats in the first place. Which doesn't make sense either. It's all his mum's fault. Plot all aside though, it's a pretty good sequence as he tries to get to Clear before Death is finished fucking around with her. He of course does and saves her life, even managing to avoid dying himself. Somehow. We flash forward 6 months, and Carter, Clear and Alex are friends, and have decided to take that trip to Paris. Alex reveals that he still thinks there's something wrong, that the plan isn't finished because nobody intervened when it was his turn to die. Then he almost gets hit by a bus. Wait, for all his paranoia, he didn't look before crossing the road. I mean, you witnessed this very scenario just months beforehand. The film ends with Carter being splattered by a falling sign. My only major criticism is that the universe seems to converge around Alex a little too much. He's the only one that can see the signs, the FBI are after him, his love interest has a prefabricated emotional connection with him, and he's just a little too lucky. There is logic to most of these, but if they'd held back a bit it would have improved things. Seeing as how I have the DVD, let's talk about the extras. It turns out that the ending of this movie was initially going to be a lot less bleak, and I think worse. The thing Clear and Alex have is expanded to where they have sex on the beach. Naturally, this one time gets Clear pregnant, and in the alternate ending, Alex dies. It flashes forward to new Alex being born, and Clear meeting Carter at the memorial stone, and a leaf falls, and it's just very cliched and not very fun to watch, and goes on for a million years. Turns out this tested really badly. While I understand test screenings, I find there's something clinical and awful about them. In fact, I still think this. They changed everything, apparently based on these vaguely insulting reasons.
If you were to describe the movie to a friend, what would you say? Gay.
This sort of spiritual ending, which had to do with Clear having a child and having the child be the vindication of how you beat death, was perhaps a little too esoteric and not visceral enough for the public that we were trying to attract, which was arguably a postmodern scream crowd.
What did you like least about the movie? The shitting.
I've never seen so many toilet scenes in the movie, but you know, Jim and Glenn have some fetish.
But they did change it for a cost of $2 million and 6 extra days filming. But it really paid off. I honestly really like this movie. More than that, I think it's genuinely good. It's a dead teenager movie that talks about death rather than simply gleefully murdering people. It's full of suspense, the characters are mostly likeable, it's got a sense of humour without being as blatant and ridiculous as the later entries in the franchise get. Yes, there are some silly bits, plot holes and contrivances, but they don't break the experience, and it deserves way more credit than it gets. I'll be back sometime in the future, unless something awful happens. Have fun.